Hi guys, today I'll be talking about how you can apply the Duda site architecture template to a Duda website or a WordPress website or a Squarespace website, but effectively we'll be working on Duda today, and how you can apply it to your client's website to give them a positive result in terms of site architecture, SEO, and site URL structure, SEO, whatever you want to call it. But effectively, if you have a positive and a healthy site architecture, it will help your SEO, right? So, let's get into it today. Well, before we get into it today, I want to say if you do want the Duda site architecture template, simply go over to my Facebook group, Neatpack. 2 seconds. If you go over to my Facebook page, I'll leave a link to the group in the description below. But effectively, once you join this group, you'll be able to receive the Duda SEO checklist, the Duda site architecture template, and the Duda site architecture email template. So I recommend you go and join that group, and you can go from there. So again, if you haven't already seen the video on my Duda site architecture video, I recommend you go watch that. I'll leave a link in the description below, but I'll briefly describe what this is. Effectively, what it shows you is your navigation. So your navigation is obviously classed as this area up here. It shows your sub pages, which are the pages underneath the main navigation bar. It shows your proposed URL, or if you have sub pages, or it shows you the proposed URL, which is key for SEO, and it shows you what keyword that page is ranking for. I like to include that just so you have an idea when building out the site architecture. This is key for before you're going to build a website. I would recommend this for people that develop websites. If you are developing a website from the ground up, so it can be good for SEO, I would recommend using something like this to build the site architecture properly, right? So let's get into it today. I built out the site architecture like this. Again, if you can use this if you haven't built the website for your client, you're just doing some SEO work for the client, you can use this to construct the site architecture on the site, the site URL structure. So let's get into it today. I'm going to show you the exact process of how I will do this, and how I actually get these keywords to find out which page is ranking for these keywords. I'll show you the tools that I use. So let's get into it. First of all, what you want to do if you are offering this service, reconstructing the site architecture for a client, what you want to do is you want to map out all the pages in the site. You want to map out all the URLs and the keywords that they're ranking for, right? The way you can actually find out the keywords that they're ranking for is all you want to do is just go over to Google Search Console. So this is how you find out what each keyword is ranking for, right? So you just want to go over to Google Search Console, free tool, URL performance, sorry, and you want to just click these three, go down to pages, simple as this, and then find the page that you're looking for, click on it, and you'll be able to see the, go to queries, and you'll be able to see the keywords that they're ranking for, right? And you can date this back to the last 3 months, whatever, 12 months, you can change it, adjust it how you like. The way I usually do this is go by filters and positions. This is the reason why I do this is to find out how much progress, if I ranked for certain keywords, how much progress can I provide, right? So if TMS, for example, TMS Florida has 928 impressions, 14 clicks, and is positioned 4.3. If we ranked them slightly higher, we may be able to increase the click-through rate, right, and the impressions. But say if we, for example, TMS Clinic, or we ranked for TMS Clinic, it's got 418 impressions, but it's only in position 15. If we ranked him up to the same position as the top one up here, 4.4, he'll actually increase that quite considerably. So this is the sort of thing we like to look at. But I'm not going to get into that today. But if you are interested in this sort of benchmarking, this keyword benchmarking, I recommend you go and watch my YouTube video. Go over to my YouTube and just go to phase part 2 of the SEO audit for the Florida TMS Clinic, because I specifically discuss how I benchmark certain keywords in Google Search Console, and I benchmark them in a spreadsheet, right? And the spreadsheet looks like this, right? So we benchmark all the keywords for the impressions, click-through rate, and position, and we can actually start analyzing where, we can start spotting sort of vulnerabilities and things, and make adjustments based on the data we found in the Google Search Console. So you don't need all these tools. You don't need crazy tools, really expensive tools. You just need Google Search Console to start doing your keyword benchmarking. So back to it. So that's how you can do it. You can just go through, find the URL, say take our services, go over to Google Search Console. You can either find it in the pages section down here, or you can take it, put in page, just paste that, and you'll be able to do it like that as well. Sorry, 2 seconds. Queries, strange, URLs, exact URL. Yeah, so what you can do is, you can take that URL and then just paste it in there. But I would recommend you just go by the pages section down here, and you can just go onto services and then find the keywords like that, like this, right? So back to it. So just by analyzing the site architecture currently, I've noticed effectively none of the site hasn't got really a site architecture at all. There's no, first of all, just from the outset, our services, it should go our services, and then it should go Florida TMS vacation, right? That our services section is a sort of parent page to all of these pages here. So first of all, our services and all these pages should have the same sort of URL structure. It should say our services, and then it should say TMS vacation, whatever it is. So from the outset, this is something we like to look at. And what you can do is, when you start looking at this, you can actually start modifying certain things. Like you can add a keyword possibly into the URL maybe. So for example, you could add, instead of our services, right? So this page, right? This page is one of the keywords we want to rank for is TMS Tampa. So if I plug in TMS Tampa, or go search USA, I just want to make sure we're accurate. And I plug in TMS Tampa, and we've got an ad here. We've got some, obviously the map pack here. We've got our competitors here. We've got another site here. We've got another site here, and then we've got our page here, right? So just from the outset, this page is ranking for our services. Our services is ranking for this specific keyword, and that's the money keyword. That's where we want to go for. So from the outset, obviously, at the moment, currently, I'm going to do I plan on doing a video on, it's going to be called a video series called The Road to Rankings. And effectively what we'll do next week is I'll show you the exact processes of how I modify, certain on-page SEO, things like that, and how I do that and how I can rank certain websites, right? So currently we're actually only in phase 1. So phase 1, we're actually in phase 1 of the campaign, so that's week 1. This is how I structure it. I'm not going to tell you the full in-depth insight into how we do it, but what I do is we do phase 1, and using the audit template, I'm adjusting all the phase 1 issues, and part of the phase 1 issues is the site architecture. So today will be the site architecture improvements. So if we go here, as you can see, we've done the phase 1 top issues. We've done the page speed optimization, the conversion rate tracking's been up, been set up, schema markup, all these different things, citations. But today we're doing site architecture. So we're building the site architecture. We're reconstructing the site architecture, right? So first of all, right, to help us, the first step to ranking, right? So one of the things that I've noticed, if you look at these, obviously we've got TMS of South Tampa, TMS of Tampa, and we've got this page here. And if we're talking URLs, we've got no sign of Tampa in our URL, right? And as you can see here, these two competitors up here, they've got they've got Tampa in their, they've got Tampa in their URL. I'm just looking at no. But these two up here have actually got Tampa in our URL. So one of the ways I like to preach SEO and how you can rank for certain keywords is actually just by looking with your own eyeballs and looking at what the competitors are doing compared to you, right? So let's just click on TMS of South Tampa, just see if there's anything that stands out to us. So just by looking at this one, right, they've got Neurostar TMS therapy, Neurostar TMS treatment. So that's what we want, right? We want to start implementing this sort of site architecture just like the competitors are doing. So as you can see here, Neurostar TMS therapy and then Neurostar TMS treatments, they've got their keyword organized and nicely set out in their URL structure without having to do this, without having to have this long URL. If that was like that long whole URL like that, that wouldn't be good for SEO. But the fact that they've done a clean site architecture where they've got the sub page and then they've got the sub page, just like we've got in our site architecture page here. So we've got the sub page and we've got the sub page. They're actually doing the right thing in terms of SEO. Oh, I've missed it now. I've lost it. Oops daisy. But effective, yeah, here we go. So just by looking at that, they're doing the right thing. They've got the site architecture in place. So if we go to another page, say about depression, they've got depression TMS, and then they've got about depression. So they've got depression twice in their URL structure, right? Let's say we go back to home. Yeah, so effectively this is what we're talking about. If we go to the other page that was ranking, because once you start doing this, you can actually start implementing keywords into your URL structure, right? We go to TMS of Tampa, right? So we go to TMS down here. We'll just see if he's got a site architecture in place, right? So he's got depression and TMS, so he's got that category there. And then he's got about depression, so he's got TMS and depression, and he's got depression twice in his keywords, right? TMS therapy, what is TMS? About TMS, what is TMS? So he's got the keyword twice, right? Are you starting to see the sort of correlation and what I'm trying to say? It's important that you actually utilize this site architecture technique, because you can actually start implementing keywords into your URLs before you start doing all the on-page and everything like that. So let's go back to it. So one of the things I would recommend is actually we do something like maybe, so it's our services currently, and then it goes accelerated TMS, and it completely misses the our services part. It just goes straight to Florida TMS vacation, which is one thing we need to correct. But say if we did, say for example, say if we did implement the URL category or the subpage, right, and we had our services, right, our services, and then we had it like that, instantly Google will start to see that as, right, okay, so our TMS therapy is in our services, so that's brilliant. However, what if we decided we wanted to do our services, or maybe we did mix it around a bit? Instead of our services, we do Tampa TMS services, or we just did Tampa services, or we just did, or we just leave it as our services. But if we get that keyword Tampa services, and then we've got TMS therapy there, got TMS therapy, and we've got our keyword Tampa in the URL structure, do you start to see the value of this, right? So what we could do is then we could go back to our site architecture template, right? So we go back to our site architecture template in here, and we say, right, our services, maybe we could adjust that to, let's say, Florida TMS Clinic, Tampa Services, TMS Therapy, right? Or we change it to, maybe we could just play around with it. Obviously, this is going to be approved by the business owner before I start doing the implementations, because you have to make sure everything goes by the business owner first and foremost, right? Anything that you do, content, site architecture templates, anything that you do, it has to be by the business owner, especially when it's something like this, because this affects rankings. It will affect the rankings for the better, right? But this is just step one of the ranking process, right? So maybe we change that to Tampa Services TMS Therapy, or we change it to maybe Tampa TMS, something like that. But I'd go for Tampa Services, I reckon, if we're going for this. And then all of these keywords and all of these pages here now become in a sort of, we've now got our keywords in all these pages. First of all, we've got Tampa, and they then become sort of categorized pages, right? They then become relevant to the Google search engine, right? So I hope that helped, guys. If there's anything else, I'm just trying to think if there's anything else we need to adjust, right? Even just, as you can see here, he's created a couple location pages. None of them are ranking for keywords. But if we were to create certain location pages, you'd create something like, TMS, Florida TMS / New Tampa, right? Or something like that. I mean, that's just an example. It's probably not the best idea. Obviously, I have to think about it. But this is just off the top of my head, guys. But I believe this is the next step of creating the site architecture, actually categorizing all these URLs with Tamper services or services, whatever it is. But what I'm saying is, if you are going to categorize your web page with this site architecture, if you're going to use this site architecture, make sure that you utilize the keyword opportunities, right? Make sure that you actually start implementing these keywords in your URL structure. So I hope that's everything, guys. Thank you very much. Cheers.